Hi everyone and good afternoon. Hope lunch was good. We are just about to kick off with Jenna and Nicola from Unum. But before we start, if I can just remind everybody to use your Slido app and make sure you kind of put any questions that you have during the session onto the app, and I'll pick them up with the team. I will hand over to Jenna.
Jenna, yeah. Is my mic working? Can you all hear me okay? Good, okay. So, hi everyone, good afternoon. Hopefully you know who Unum are, but if you don't, we're a specialist employee benefits provider. And our mission really is to support businesses to understand, meet and anticipate the evolving needs of their people. We commissioned some research recently to explore how well employers are currently meeting their employee needs and where the gaps lie, and that's what we're going to take you through today. So my name's Jenna and my role is Senior Proposition Manager. I've worked at Unum for about 11 years and in my current role I'm really focused on understanding the workforce and market insights, and as a specialist employee benefits provider we can design propositions that meet the needs of our customers. And I'll let Nicola introduce herself as well.
Thanks, Jenna. Hi, everyone. So I'm Nicola Riley, and my role is within HR within Unum, and I'm the Health and Wellbeing Consultant. So I work within part of the Total Reward team, and today I'm going to be sharing what we do internally with our own employees.
So we're just going to take a look to start with at the workforce today. So it might not be new news to any of you that the workforce isn't in the best shape. Budgets are quite tight. Absence is at the highest it's been in a decade. So averaging 7.8 days per employee, which is 2 days, whole 2 days higher than it was just pre-pandemic. And obviously employees themselves are navigating relentless pressures from cost of living crisis, rising inflation. So ultimately people and productivity is taking a hit. Need to get better at doing these buttons. So the biggest HR-related challenge reported in the workplace in 2024 is supporting employee wellbeing. And the recent ONS research shows that despite an initial bounce back after the pandemic, more recently productivity is dipping and remains a weakness for UK businesses. So although I've just painted some kind of a bit of a bleak picture there obviously are some positives. We also have flexibility in the workplace, that hybrid working enables us to have a better work-life balance. There's more awareness and focused efforts to reduce the stigma around mental health concerns, and then there's a better technology to help employees and businesses be more efficient. And this disconnect between productivity and those positive movements I just mentioned is known as the productivity paradox. So at Unum, we looked into it. Despite the best intentions, our research showed that many organisations are missing the mark when it comes to employee support. So drawing on insights from a comprehensive survey spanning different industries, regions, age groups and job roles, our report delves into the evolving expectations of today's workforce and uncovers the root causes of workplace wellbeing challenges, and then also offers some practical evidence-based recommendations to help organisations create a happy, healthy and engaged workforce. So what did we find? We've grouped these findings into 3 key areas. If you've already visited our stand, you might have seen some reference to those. So the 3 key areas are the productivity paradox, the wellbeing perception gap, and the working lifestyle. So today we haven't got much time, so we'll take you through a high-level overview of each finding, and then Nicola and I are going to give you some insights from Unum as an employer, that's Nicola's bit, and then Unum as an employee benefits provider. But the full report with all the information and more details available from today, so we'd love for you after this to download the report. There'll be a QR code you can scan or visit our stand and speak to some more Unum representatives there. So the first one is the productivity paradox. So against the backdrop of advances in AI and other technologies, as I mentioned, UK productivity is remaining sluggish. And the one major factor contributing to this that our research told us is the growing mental health crisis. So mental health issues isn't an unknown issue in the workplace, but the true impact of it that it has on productivity is being hidden. In 2024, 1 in 3 employees experienced a mental health issue. with many reporting their conditions are worsening as well. And there's presenteeism is becoming more widespread as well, being driven by financial pressures and blurred work-life boundaries, the other side of the coin to those benefits of technology and hybrid working that I mentioned. And although stress and burnout is a known issue, they are difficult to notice within the workplace, and therefore they are having an impact on productivity and business performance. Unsurprisingly, high pressure industries are hit hardest, so that's finance, professional services and education sectors reporting the highest level of absenteeism, and that's due to mental and physical health conditions. And large organisations, despite having more resources, are still seeing higher absences. So whilst larger organisations have those support systems in place, they're often underused or not fully understood, and we'll look a bit more into this in a moment. But the key thing here is that businesses want to do the right thing to support their people, but we found there's a disconnect between the perceived and actual support. Many businesses believe that the mental health support they're offering is strong, but employees often feel unsupported. And importantly, employers themselves aren't always fully bought in. So our research told us that 57% of employers believe their current benefits had a positive impact on productivity. Only 57%, sorry. So that's a really missed opportunity and emphasises the need for more data and a clear insight-led strategy when it comes to employee benefits. Because without recognising that link between benefits and the health of the workforce, employers risk under-investing in those areas and the things that could really make a difference. So the second area was the wellbeing perception gap. So essentially, employers tend to think that employee wellbeing is better than it really is, and that disconnect is growing. So despite ongoing pressures like NHS wait times, cost of living crisis, many businesses are overestimating how well their employees are actually doing, and leadership overconfidence can mask deeper issues. Our research told us that 82% of executives believe their company are doing really well in supporting wellbeing, but only 56% of employees agree. So that's, again, a huge mismatch in perception, and this overconfidence can, again, be leading businesses to miss opportunities to make a difference. Our research also told us that 90% of employees now expect benefits to support their full well-being, so mental, physical, emotional and financial. But many employers also admit that their benefits aren't well understood. So if support isn't clear or accessible, it risks going unused and therefore it's not valued. And a lack of employee awareness and engagement likely contributes to this well-being perception gap, but importantly it's leaving employees who really need support vulnerable and businesses at a disadvantage. And lastly, we'll touch on this a little bit more later, but data and dialogue are really key to closing the gap. Employers need to listen more closely, use anonymised data, surveys, real-time insights to understand what's working. And in a moment, Nicola's going to bring to life how she's gained meaningful insights herself from Unum employees and use these to act accordingly and deliver really targeted initiatives that make a real difference for us at Unum. And lastly, the third area is the working life cycle. So for the first time, we've got 5 generations at work. So this is really opening up complexities around supporting people at those multiple life stages. So really the key thing here is one size doesn't fit all. Employers, though, are already on the case with this one. So 61% told us that they acknowledge the importance of tailoring benefits to different generations, and nearly a quarter expect that tailoring those benefits will have a positive impact on employee wellbeing in the next 1 to 2 years. So this shift is great and really supports a people-first, inclusive approach aligned with broader diversity and inclusion goals. But although there's awareness, 22% of employers said they didn't really know how to support or fully understand the exact needs of different age groups within their organisation. And while 31% of leaders value inclusivity, only 18% are including age in their D&I policies. So again, a gap that needs closing. So to truly support a multi-generational workforce, employers need to listen and adapt, rethinking how they package, deliver and communicate their benefits, as well as that make a shift towards offering flexible, tailored, personalised benefits. When every generation is seen and supported, everyone in that business is going to thrive. So I'm now going to pass over to Nicola, who's going to bring some of this to life with some real life examples.
Great, thanks, Jenna. Okay, so what does this look like in reality, in practice? It's great to sort of hear about these concepts, but it's always very different in practice. How do we ensure that the programmes, the benefits, the wellbeing programme actually aligns to employee needs rather than leadership assumptions? How do we really address the working life cycle and make sure that we are providing benefits and programs that suit people at different life stages? And what about the culture? How do we ensure that we're creating this health supporting culture in which people feel able to speak up and address their concerns? So, quite a challenge actually. And so what I'm going to do today is talk you through some examples of how we've been addressing that at Unum. And then because no two businesses are the same, Jenna is then going to share with you how we support our clients and other businesses to address some of these issues. So at Unum, for us, it's all about communication. So in terms of communication, it's really about understanding the needs of our employee population. And we do this through several data sources, primarily through a biannual wellbeing survey, which is quite a lengthy survey actually, and it addresses all the dimensions of health. So it's looking at physical, emotional, social and financial. And we do get some pushback on that survey in particular, but actually it's really key for us that we have clear messaging to demonstrate the value in that data and what we do with it as an employer. And we are always very much focused on getting some quick win actions off the back of that data, as well as some longer term plans. So that's kind of our key source of data. And then we're also tapping into groups such as our employee resource groups, our wellbeing working group, which is like a wellbeing committee, our ERGs, our HR business partners are absolutely key, meeting with our divisional leadership teams, and essentially just kind of listening in to what the needs are and the challenges are within our employee population. So every other year we run this very in-depth wellbeing survey, which is put together for us by Fidelity. We get very detailed information off the back of that. And what I particularly like about that data is that we can really analyse in depth. We can compare groups, we can look at age, gender, different demographics, different divisions within the business, compare with our US parent company, and also compare with others in our sector, so that we spend quite a bit of time really understanding what the challenges are of our employee population. Using that data and the other insights that I've mentioned, I then map that to essentially a heat map of our benefits and our programs to identify where we have gaps according to our employee need. And that will then inform the program that we put in place for the year ahead. So that kind of gives you sort of a sense for the sort of process that we go through. And as I say, we do have some challenge around survey. It's always very difficult from an HR perspective, how much surveying to do, but we're very clear that we demonstrate the value of that data and how we're using it. So, you told us X in the survey, so we are providing Y in response, and that two-way dialogue has proven to be very effective for us. So what I'd like to do is just give you sort of a couple of examples of how we've applied that in practice. So the first one is around financial well-being. So in our last survey, we found quite interestingly actually that financial well-being and concerns around saving for the future were the key sources of pressure that employees were experiencing. And that was regardless of their tenure with the company, their job grade, their gender, their age. It was across the entire employee population. Now, as you would expect, we had a standard financial wellbeing benefit in place. It was based on a platform and webinar sort of approach, but clearly it was missing the mark. We had low engagement and we had stress levels that were high. So quite interestingly, and the reason why I'm using this one as an example is I kind of stepped out of my wellbeing lane to lead this project to review the financial wellbeing support that we had in place. And the learning for us was that somebody coming in and taking a fresh perspective on quite a core sort of benefit actually resulted in us implementing something very different to what my comp and my benefits colleagues would have actually naturally have chosen. And you can see on the screen that we opted for a benefit called BIPIT, which is financial coaching. And what I particularly like about that offering is that it's a single benefit, because obviously resources aren't infinite. So we have a single benefit, but it meets employees exactly where they are. So regardless of where they are on the employee life cycle, it meets their needs. And individuals get matched with a coach, and that coach will talk them through and coach them through life's financial moments. So it's a great example of a single benefit that really fits within an intersectional strategy and addresses some of the key issues that have been highlighted in today's report. And what's fantastic is that we are seeing 27% engagement. We launched this in March, and we've already got that level of engagement. So we're continuing a two-way communication around that programme and demonstrating through case studies and real-life examples to bring it to life for people and show them how this could apply to them and could be of value to them. Second example that I wanted to highlight is with carers. So we knew from our survey data that 16% of employees identified as a carer. We didn't have anything in place. Now, this was something that we were able to act on very quickly, and I think timing is really key when it comes to this, to show that we're taking the data and we're responding to it very quickly. So we were able to offer paid carers leave up to 5 days, offered in part-day increments, because we know from our carers that that's most helpful. And we also introduced a Senior Care by Lottie benefit, which is a fantastic benefit that offers support, search, selection for employees. So of our 16% population, 19% have taken up that benefit, which shows that we've really hit that sweet spot. And the key for us in terms of communication is to keep that two-way comms in place. So actually we've brought Lottie in just last week and offered face-to-face sessions, making it really convenient for employees, serving the benefit to the employee where they're at. And actually all of the sessions at our site were fully booked, and we have another day of sessions next week at our Dorking site, and again they're fully booked, which shows that we're kind of hitting that sweet spot. So looking to our diverse communication channels, it's really key for us that we sort of utilise everything that's available to us. So what I've been busy doing is really implementing the various benefits that we have into pre-existing HR communications, again to serve up the content to employees at a time that's most appropriate, convenient and relevant to them. So, for example, with BIPIT, employees are getting notification and comms, say, for example, if they have a job promotion or perhaps they have a baby or they have a change in their relationship status. Standard comms that would come from our HR response team now have signposting into that BIPIT benefit, again, to make it timely, convenient and appropriate to them, to try and keep that two-way communication in place. In addition, we're doing sort of standard comms, as you would probably expect and be involved in yourselves within your own organisations, so by topic, by calendar, time of year, that type of thing. But more and more, we're also targeting by specific demographic. So, for example, really targeting employees who are going through the menopause, through menopause chat groups, also targeting through our newly formed Man Cave programme. So just sort of two kind of examples for you. And then really sort of thinking about the productivity paradox and this sort of inability to speak up, be seen and bring your full self to work. We have recently just completed a piece of work on how we enable individuals and teams to thrive. And what's interesting about this particular project is that we had our Chief Marketing Officer and our Chief Operating Officer headline and spearhead this particular programme, which was a training programme delivered to leaders, to managers and employees. And these two senior leaders presented themselves, they hosted and facilitated the sessions and brought a really sort of true to life, gritty perspective on some of the challenges that they've experienced in their lives professionally and some of the resilience tactics that they've used to overcome those. And so it's created this sort of culture in which people feel that it's okay to be vulnerable and to be open and to be honest. So that's sort of been a fantastic advancement for us. And also off the back of that, what we've also done is embed wellbeing conversations into our performance process so that wellbeing has become a part of the way in which we work at Unum. So it's not just what you've achieved, but the way in which you've gone about it. So have you done it in a healthy, sustainable way? And we are definitely seeing an increase in the use of the Unum Wellbeing Action Plan as well off the back of that. So hopefully that just sort of gives you a flavour for some of the work that we're doing at Unum and how it applies to some of the findings in today's report. So I'm going to hand back to Jenna.
Thank you. So I'm just going to tie all this together now with just a summary, really. You heard the three kind of themes that came out of our research. So what does this mean? So firstly, effective benefit strategies need to be data-driven. We can't make assumptions. So using everything from real-time feedback and management information to understand what's working, what's not, and where the gaps are, and turning that insight into meaningful action. And you heard some of the examples from Nicola there. So ensure you get that from every angle and make your benefits providers work hard for you. At Unum, we understand the importance of giving our customers really good data, and our wellbeing consultants can also support our customers to understand what that data means and feed it back into the services they make available to their employees. I said it before, but one size doesn't fit all or any really. Today's workforce is really diverse, so benefits must be really targeted and personalised and linked to the above, using data and insights to understand the evolving needs of the workforce and design accordingly is really key here. Third, make it really easy and connected. The reality is it takes a lot for employees to reach out when they need support. I mentioned mental health before. Our research told us only a third of employees struggling with mental health issues actually took any action to address it. And then for those employees that do, often they find it really hard to know where to go and how to access things. So this lack of engagement obviously impacts the perceived value of what you're offering, but it ultimately impacts that individual getting the support as well, and ultimately impacts your business. At Unum, we design our propositions to try and help overcome that challenge. One of our examples is our Help at Hand app, and that's a unique blend of clinical services that people can use when they're unwell, but also preventative services that they can tap into before they get unwell. And we've deliberately put them all in one place so that people can access them when they need them, and they're with one provider so that the services are connected, making it as seamless as possible to kind of cross between and get that multidisciplinary approach. Like I said, we know that people want their mental, physical, financial well-being looked after. And then just lastly, communication is really key. So even the best benefits are going to fall flat if no one knows about them. Nicola mentioned all the different channels she uses, from digital platforms, your line managers, peer networks, so they're really front and centre so people think of them when they need them. At Unum, we provide a comprehensive suite of education and training work sessions for line managers and for employees, and that's really to get it embedded in that culture again. So line managers understand the common reasons why people might be unwell in work, can have that knowledge to spot the early warning signs when somebody's starting to struggle, and then signpost them on to other broader things that are available for them. So these points are all connected. They don't operate in silos. So naturally, some of these areas you'll be thinking you're really comfortable with, you're already doing it, and then maybe some areas where you could do more in that space. So hopefully you found this presentation and the report and the insights from that report and Nicola interesting. As I mentioned, if you want to talk to us in more depth about any of the findings or anything else we've talked about, Nicola and I are here, and then we've got a team on the stand as well. So please do reach out. But I think we've got just a couple of minutes for questions now.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think it's just a fantastic example of best practice in terms of how we kind of run it out. There's a couple of good questions here on the app. So the first one is, in terms of your rollout at Unum, are you just desk-based, or do you have remote employees as well? And how did you manage kind of rollout with that diverse populations, or what do you recommend from a communication perspective?
Yeah, so we have a mix of different roles. We have people are working hybrid, so they're typically sort of in the office 2 days a week, but we do have some remote workers as well. So it's really just utilising every channel that's available. So where we are offering in-person events, also offering a remote version so that it's fully inclusive. So everything that we offer is available across both types of platform, actually.
Yeah, and I think the two here, just in terms of kind of what we walked through in terms of how do you get that leadership buy-in and manage the feedback where, for example, you know, you maybe have low absence rates, you haven't got sufficient data internally. What would you advise to use in the absence of good data to say, look, we need to do this from a mental health perspective?
So I think it's actually having the conversations, so actually walking the floor and talking to employees, so accessing pre-existing groups, leadership teams, any sort of forum in which you can gather data and intelligence to understand what the employee experience is. So in the absence of data, that would be the option.
And I think I'm going to squeeze in the last one because I think it's also important. So you'd mentioned a couple of figures in terms of your uptake of what you've put in place since March. Is there anything else that you would do to measure that ROI in terms of getting that leadership buy-in?
Yeah, so in terms of getting leadership buy-in, I think it's important to understand context, so to understand what others within your industry in particular are doing, what best practice looks like, and then in terms of evaluating return on investment of an actual benefit, it has to be in terms of feedback, so what the experience of using that benefit is, what the knock-on impact is, as well as the engagement level. So engagement just gives sort of an early indicator, but then it's sort of scratching beneath the surface to see what the feedback scores are looking like.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think everybody want to give them a round of applause. It's a great session, really, really helpful.